mile in to day 10, and there's a nice little water source here in the rhododendron tunnel around us, which is like just absolutely beautiful with all these blooms. We figured out that the rhododendrons are wherever the water is, so whenever we see rhododendrons, we know a water source is coming up. But we also check Gut Hooks, the app, to see where we are and how we're doing. So we're about a half mile into our first ascent of the day. We have 2 killer ascents and 1 killer descent today before we get to our shelter. We're headed up to Tree Mountain Shelter, and we'll check in periodically as we make our way up. Yeah, day 10. About 2/3 of the way up our climb from Unicoi Gap Road, and we have 2 big peaks today. So here's our blaze right back at you. You can carry heavier snacks. Oh, yummy! Cheese sticks and apples. Do you prefer this view to the ocean? What? Gosh, this is so fun. Look at that, Facebook Live. So we're in the mountains having some lunch, and apparently we have LTE service up here. We've had LTE service the entire time we've been in the mountains, except for like one night at the shelter. Is that about right?
The first couple of days.
The first couple of days? So I paid $1.50 to send messages into space and back to my parents, and then we had LTE. So we are up here having lunch on the mountain.
Taking in the views. Listening to some yahoos shooting off guns in the forest.
We went through a gap just now, and we stopped to look at this ledge, and Rachel looked down, and you know you're in Georgia, y'all, when there are like 8 bullet casings. And now we can hear guns going off too in the distance. So the Georgia section, oh my gosh, a little bit.
Don't hate on Georgia.
Okay, I won't hate on Georgia. It's been interesting for this Yankee. Of course, you know, Rachel lived in Atlanta and north of it, Decatur, Georgia for years. So anywho, yep, so here we are up in the mountains and enjoying the view and having some calories. Let me tell you, I have a renewed appreciation for Pop-Tarts. They have been my favorite thing to eat. And it's guilt-free because you're burning 4,000 extra calories a day, right? What are you having?
I'm having Fritos.
Fritos
and Sour Patch Kids.
Yummy! So thanks for tuning in to see. I see Jamie says, hi, I love following you guys. Oh my gosh, we're on day 10, Jamie. Like, what? We almost quit on day 2. Let's be real honest, y'all. Day 2 was a killer.
Day 2 was hard.
Day 2 was a killer.
The last 5 miles we did without water, so that was sad.
We did 6 liters of water carrying that day. When they ran out, we still had 5 miles to go. You can't even believe that. 6 liters is like 12 pounds of water, y'all. That's ridiculous.
Then we can't buy beers.
And yeah, we totally can't buy beers.
It's fine.
Okay, so one last view of what we've got going on over here, and I hope you guys are all enjoying your day. We are breathing fresh air. We're sitting in a rhododendron tunnel. Like what? Everywhere there are rhododendrons, there are tiny, awesome water sources. So yeah, we're sitting in rhododendrons on the side of a mountain. I mean, you can't get much better than this. So, all right, enjoy your day, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Love you, bye.
dog's here.
Yay!
Oh! And it
Okay, we're at the top of Kelly Knob, and it's this nice little camping area here. We didn't do any videos today because earlier on the ridge we were going across a lot of wild boar country. We saw a lot of uprootings and hog prints. So here we are. Oh, we are sweating. That was a big climb. It was like 900 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 900 feet straight up. So we've already done like 6 miles today. I think we have 4 or 5 more. We're trying to do a big day, so to get into Dick's Creek and go to the hostel and find our friends. So,
Still eating Skittles.
oh, those look so good.
Want
Except
some?
they're sour. No,
Sour Skittles
I
are
wish
my
they were
life right now.
sweet. I want some Swedish fish
Oh,
right now.
so good.
And then maybe we'll get pizza tonight. Yeah. So for those of you that keep seeing all of our pictures at the top and thinking, "Wow, it's so beautiful. It looks so easy."
You want to show them how sweaty my shirt is?
Yeah.
Show them the two-tone color I got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all wet.
You can't see your
Sweat.
forehead because, like, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
nice and gross.
This is what you look like on the way up.
So pretty.
So pretty. All right, bye. Oh, flat down. This is my kind of, ow, yellow jacket. Sideways. Oh, they just cleared it too. Thank you, trail maintenance. Keep those snakes away. We're so happy. We thought we'd do some extra miles today on our 12-mile hike to see a view. So we are blue blazing it to the vista. Just around here somewhere. We're going downhill to get there. My quad is not happy with that. And my hamstrings are tight. Ah! We saw your hiker text.
We're like, this is our first hiker text. We like stopped and we're like, just in case. Just in case. Oh my gosh. Are there snakes? We checked. We haven't,
banged around.
we
and
banged
sat
around.
for a
We
while.
yelled a little bit.
Okay,
We haven't
that's
seen
fair.
anything.
No
Fair.
promises, but we haven't gotten any bites yet.
It's a rat.
Freaked out.
Yep.
He would like a picture.
Wow, he was just oh, he's
came
mad.
out here.
He's mad at us. He's like, go away.
I
It's
think
my
that's
spot.
Just there. Please go away.
Max and Oliver. You guys best friends?
Now they have a car that has all those tent rolls on it.
Oh, really? I'll have to bring one with
It's
me.
right there in the breakfast table.
Oh, yeah. You have to bring that with me.
They're just good rules.
They are indeed. But the
For
tooth
life.
story. Oh my gosh, that tooth story.
Hello, welcome to the after show. So let's add some commentary. So we last left you guys off at the Blue Mountain hike down to Unicoi Gap. I didn't have any footage from that morning, really.
It's a really steep hike
It
down.
was steep.
I mean, we had to be
It was
careful.
quick. We were down. One funny anecdote was that on our way almost out to the road, I looked across the road and saw a van. and it was dropping off some people, and I yelled over using my teacher NATO voice. I said, "Hey, are you going into Hiawassee?" And they heard me, and they stopped and said, "We can." So when we got down there, we actually, instead of hitching into Hiawassee or calling a taxi or anything, had a ride straight into Hiawassee. So we just paid cash and got a ride into Hiawassee. It turns out our driver was Bob, who owns Top of Georgia, so the hostel that we would be staying at 3 days further down the road. So we told him, yeah, tonight we're at the Holiday Inn Express with the pool and the spa, and then in 3 days we'll be down to you. And he was adorably sassy and says, well, we don't have a pool or a spa or a pancake maker. So he sassed us a little bit. He says, but they do their laundry for you. So we had to, we got to do our laundry in a machine for the first time in Hiawassee at the Holiday Inn Express with actual detergent and not in a sink.
Clothes were finally clean.
Day 9, maybe? They were finally doing like machine laundry.
It's
so
too long. It's too long.
way too long. So that was fun. And then we hobbled around Hiawassee, even though it was like, we call it a Nero day, near zero. We did
A lot of miles in
3
town.
miles coming off, and then we did a lot of mileage around town going to the outfitter, getting my winter hat and gloves. We went to the grocery store, Ingles.
Zingles.
But here in Tampa, we would say Ingles. So we went to Ingles, and we loaded up on fruit. We had
I bought an entire bag of sour cream
delivery
and chips,
pizza
and
that
it was
night.
the best thing ever.
Swimming. It was like the perfect retreat. Oh, we had Daniel's Steakhouse.
Oh,
The
that
buffet.
is all the Gone with the Wind stuff that she got in the video, and she was loving it. And it was a really good value, decently priced buffet, and the food was amazing.
$8.50, y'all. It was crazy for a
So-
buffet.
And they were really sweet, and nobody was like judging us because we went there without
Oh.
showering, so we were a little smelly.
we were really smelly.
And nobody was. They were just pleasantly nice, and we recommend that steakhouse to several other hikers. So
Yeah.
hopefully we.
They all go there.
Did them a favor.
I did get a funny look when I carried 4 desserts out of the buffet area,
I think I just gotta yeah, that's how you do it.
and I tried all of them. If I tried, I mean I ate all of them.
It was good. It was. So
I was
good.
still in a caloric
No
deficit
regrets.
for the day.
No regrets.
So Unicoi Gap, immediately we had these 2 huge peaks ahead of us, and they were on par with the elevation that we gained for Blood Mountain. So it was almost like having 2 Blood Mountains back to back. So 1,000 straight up, 1,000 down, and 1,000 straight back up, and then on the
Like
verge
600 down or something.
to Trey Mountain Shelter. So then we had that little peak at Trey Mountain. Yeah, so Trey Mountain's peak was beautiful, but again, every time you get to a vista with a rocky ledge, you can't enjoy it. You're looking around for snakes. So we kind of hustled our way through there. We knew we were close to the shelter we wanted to get in. When we got into the shelter, we saw a group, we saw a tent, and we assumed that it was a couple that we had met earlier the day, Honey and Moon, who were on their honeymoon.
So cute.
So cute.
And
Hi,
they're gonna keep
Honey.
hiking.
Hi, Moon.
Hopefully next year with us.
So they're the only hikers that we might actually see again next year. So maybe the unit. So we were excited to see their tent all set up, and then they had kind of parked away at a beautiful
decent
view.
ways out, yeah.
So they were closer to the privy, but further from that shelter. And so we were thinking, we better set up our tents. It doesn't look like rain. So we actually set up our tents. And then the unit got there, so we were chatting with them like, hey, how was your hike today, guys? We hadn't seen them in
A couple
2 days,
Yeah.
so they had caught back up to us after they zeroed, and then we took a Nero, and anyway, we all joined back up together. Andrew was like a couple days ahead of us somewhere.
Yeah, he hiked
was
on.
at Top of Georgia, and so, no, he would be the next day. He was at Low Gap Shelter that night, and then
No, the one after.
I'm sorry, Deep Gap Shelter.
Yes.
Yeah. So we skipped Deep Gap Shelter because we were awesome, and we did
Big mileage.
big mileage into the hostel to have the real food.
Still worth it.
High fives. So so when we were at the shelter, there were some shenanigans that happened. I'm gonna let Rachel talk about that because
So
she's got some feelings about it.
So many feelings. We were there, the unit was there, Honey and Moon were a little ways away, so they weren't really part of the social situation, but they were still at the shelter, technically. And we were kind of getting ready for the evening, getting ready to make dinner, having a snack. I think you were having your miso soup, I was having tea. And this thru hiker who was hiking southbound, so he was pretty fast to already be in Georgia as a southbound hiker, came rolling in. Actually, I don't think he was doing the whole trail. I think he was doing like about half of the trail.
He was doing a quarter of the trail.
Okay, a quarter of the trail. But still a very impressive
Yeah.
amount of mileage. And he, the word toxic masculinity comes to mind. He was the kind of he-man that wants to tell you exactly how to do everything, even when you didn't ask for help. And he was actually kind of like a really poor influence on the guys that were there. He kept egging them on to do dumb things that were fairly dangerous.
And of course, we liked the unit because they were super polite and nice and good kids and very respectful in front of us. And, you know, we had the unit with us that night, and so we felt a little bit more comfortable with this.
We were really happy the unit
unknown
was there.
stranger. I was very happy the unit was there, but also because of the boars. This is where the boar situation was tenuous. A lot of the comments on Guthook said boar activity 2 days ago, and you can see the date on there, and they had a whole group of boars run through the camp right in front of the shelter. And then the whole next day, we saw uprootings for miles and boar prints. And so at the shelter, I felt safe. The next day hiking was really hard for me because I had no plan for what would happen if they had a group of boars start running at us. I had no plan. Climb a tree with a 35-pound pack.
Trees are no good for bears because anything you can climb, a bear can climb faster and better. However, boars, you get up off the ground, you got a chance because they're mean. They'll just go for you. They're not deterred by noise.
One of the guys in the unit who goes by the child named Spoons was actually really dexterous with this spear that he made.
He made a spear using a 6-inch Rambo knife, duct taping it to a straight piece of wood that he found, and then for an hour practiced throwing. And he actually was really accurate. I mean,
he was scary accurate.
He could hit a tree dead on over and over again.
And I asked the group, I'm like, has anyone been boar hunting? He's like, dozens of times. And I was so happy we had a Florida boy with us.
Of course he has. He's from Florida. So
yay!
we were. It was an interesting night because we were really glad that we were sharing that shelter with the unit for a couple of reasons. We were happy because they were definitely like excited to hunt boar. In any case, I was sure that they were going to give us time to get away, and then we were actually really glad that they were there, kind of as a buffer.
This stranger was
because this stranger southbound hiker, he was a little bit manic, a little bit high energy, but in a very negative way, and kind of a wild card. He's the kind of guy you don't know what he's going to do.
And we found out later in the logbooks that he was like looking for, you know, drugs, like in the logbooks.
We also found out after the fact that he has had altercations with several people on and off trail, and he's actually been banned from at least 1 or 2 hostels. So turns out our perception of him was dead on.
So we were really happy that we had set up our tents earlier
in the shelter.
Because after he got there, I definitely would have set up my tent far away. But you know, had it been raining and had it just been the unit, we would have been totally fine as our little trampoline. But like with this unknown stranger coming into the mix, it was really helpful to have had our tents far away from the group. So we were actually, we could hear all the drama that was happening all night long, like until they all fell asleep with the boys. But we weren't really involved with it at all, which was kind of nice.
It was really good.
So I didn't really need to know about everything I had already spent the last 3 years researching. Thanks.
Yeah, so that was an interesting night. And
moving on.
Fortunately, the next day we were hiking to get. We actually changed our plans. We had planned to hike to the next shelter, which was Deep Gap, and then we kind of like. I think you came up with the plan or floated the idea, and then were surprised when I agreed to it because it meant we were going to do a 12-mile hike day.
It wasn't even okay. So we were talking that night about the Georgia border, and we thought the only way that we can get to the North Carolina and Georgia border for day 14 or day 13, and then be out on day 14 because that's when we were having your mom pick us up, was if we cranked miles on the next day, and we made it all the way to top of Georgia. We decided, I think at 10 o'clock, like through texting each other back and forth from tent to tent, hey, let's do this. It's doable. But we're going to totally play it by mile. So like every mile tomorrow, if we're not feeling good, if injure your ankle. If I pull my hamstring, we're done. Like, we're just not going to make it. We'll just go slow. We'll go to Deep Gap Shelter. It'll be fine. We'll do easy miles out to TOG, and we'll be done with our hike from TOG, which is Top of Georgia Hostel. So we just plan to finish at Top of Georgia. We'll be done. That's an easy place to pick the trail up next year if you want to keep going. And then this beautiful, miraculous 12-mile day happened.
Yeah, so we got the first 8 miles were actually kind of challenging. But those were the first 8 miles we would have had to hike anyway to get to Deep Gap Shelter.
Yes, because it included Kelly Knob, which is infamously
It's
steep.
a hard hike. It's really steep. And so, well, it's a hard hike for Georgia. We shouldn't talk too much trash because next year it's going to be so much worse.
2,500 footer.
But it was a hard hike for what we were used to. And
It's 900 feet straight up.
Yeah.
Like in like a quarter mile or something. They're crazy.
It's a lot.
It's really steep. It
And,
takes an hour to get up it.
it took us an hour to get up. It doesn't take everybody an hour to get up.
With full packs, it would take an Army veteran an hour.
I think Andrew did it in half that time. we got to where we would have had to leave the trail to go take the side trail to the shelter, and it was only like 4 more miles, and it was mostly downhill. And downhill is like a double-edged sword because like you hike it faster, you're not breathing heavily because you're not like exerting as much
but
energy.
you're more prone to injury.
But everything hurts. It's like all that impact on your legs, on your knees, your ankles, and so it's actually, you have to be so like mentally aware to make sure that, especially I did because I had the sprained ankle, to make sure I wasn't going to do anything worse and take like a tumble down the cliff.
So we got to this spot and it said Vista extra mileage this way, and we thought, we're never coming back here. We've got to go the 10th of a mile out to the Vista. So we go to we're going out the Vista and we see a hiker text. Our first hiker text.
It was a hiker text.
And it was Honey and Moon with a heart
They had drawn
in
the
dirt, and to tell us like we made it here. We're going to keep going because we knew that they were going to stop either at Low Gap or go out to Hiawassee where their car was. So we didn't know what they had picked, and we knew that if they got to Deep Gap, we would never see them again because like they would go off trail. So we left up the hiker text, and then we come around the corner, and you'll see in the video, we meet up with them. So we got to see them again.
And that's where we saw the snake.
And then we saw the rattlesnake.
And it's so funny because it looked like the perfect rattlesnake place.
Yes.
And so we're coming up, and they're sitting there eating, and the first thing we ask is, hey,
Snakes.
this looks like there's snakes here.
Snakes.
Did you check? They're like, oh yeah, we looked around.
Yeah, so they did their smart thing. They did bang around for snakes.
But they were there anyway.
But
and so I was taking a video, and all of a sudden I hear,
The
it's
rattle.
so close. And the rattle.
You hear the rattle.
And sure enough, it's like 2
yeah.
feet away. Oh no,
Yeah.
it was bad.
So that actually, the rattlesnake encounter gave us enough adrenaline for the rest of the day, and we were just cruising downhill.
Cruised down to Hiawassee.
And then we came out we hiked the last quarter mile, half a mile with 2 gentlemen who had done a big day in and out, just day hikers.
From Atlanta.
The friend offered us a ride in his friend's car, so we felt really bad about that because they were very clean and we were very gross, but they were so kind, and they brought us to Top of Georgia. They came in with us to get drinks from the shop, and Bob talked to them about the hostel and some of the history, and so that was our first night at Top of Georgia there, and
First and only night,
but that was our night at Top of Georgia, and we got to meet Vagabond and Bob, who worked there. They were very gracious. We had pizza and hot dogs and ice cream, and got the laundry done, and we got to wear the hospital scrubs while they did our laundry. It was so nice, and they used our soap that I had carried from Hiawassee because I have sensitive skin, and I have to have the Arm & Hammer sensitive skin type, detergent.
pretty clear, yeah.
So they read the package, and they checked their new washer, and it was fine, and then we went, off to get our stuff packed, and Andrew was there.
So we met up with Andrew again.
So that was fun. That was the last time we saw him, right? Was the next day?
Yeah, because Andrew was going to zero
Yeah.
at the Top of Georgia. He was kind of, it's always fun to meet up with people, but you also have to listen to what you need. And so he was going to zero again and then keep going because he was going further than we were. We knew we had 2 more days on trail and then we were done. So we pushed out of there and said goodbye. We got our first picture with Andrew. Andrew had resisted the photography up until then, but I think he was sad because we were leaving.
Yeah.
So
It's fun to be with introverts all day.
She says that sarcastically, but it actually is really nice.
Nobody wants to wake up happy with me and hike and sing.
Some of
and
us just need coffee and
eat really
silence
quickly
before we're happy.
go to bed early.
But yeah.
So yeah. And then we'll catch up with you after our next episode, which is our season finale.
Bye.
Okay, bye.